Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the Guardian meta. Really videos, I didn't do 2 weeks because I was moving. So let's talk a little bit about the Guardian meta. Currently, Guardians are being played in non-support roles, and it's causing problems. Now, in order to really talk about this, we need to look at the base stats of gods, right? And we'll look at, I think, 2 sort of similar characters. We'll look at Ymir, right? So Ymir, he's got 614 health at level 1, 26 physical protection, does 40 damage with his auto attacks, and moves at 360 speed. Ymir is very naturally tanky, he scales very well, and he needs to because he's intended to be a support. Support is a role where you're giving up experience, you're giving up gold to do useful stuff for your team. Now, you're actually choosing to give up that experience. You could farm just as well as a jungler, 100%, but you don't. You choose not to, and you do it because of the way the role is played. Now think about that. We go into the God Builder, Bumba's Mask. Bumba's Mask gives you increased gold from camps. However, it does not give you increased experience. That means the way a jungler plays, where they go from, solo lane, and they go to mid, and they leech there, and they do back camps, and all that stuff, right? They're getting, they're farming experience in such a way as to keep them at level with the rest of the team. They don't have any item or anything to modify that experience gain, which means the support could gain the same amount of experience if they played in the right sort of way. Supports just don't do that. They don't choose to do that. Okay. So support is a role where you're giving up certain things that you could do, like gold and experience, in order to get certain advantages for your team, like ward placement and babysitting your dual lane hunter and setting up for your mid. As a result, Guardians are tuned to be slightly better at lower levels. You've got very high base health and health scaling, which will allow you to be tankier at level 10 when everyone else is level 13, right? Now let's take a look at Tyr. Tyr is a warrior, and he's got 24 less health per level. He's got substantially less health at level 1. His protections start much lower. They don't scale as well. That's because Tyr is intended to be, he's intended to farm. He's intended to get experience and be at level or ahead with everyone else, right? So you have this role where Guardians are built to be slightly behind. They're built to be better at lower levels. The problem is, and their base damage is higher too as well, right? Like, yeah, Fearless is a very hard-hitting ability, right? Even Power Cleave. So sure, Tyr hits very hard. Let's look at Herc for this, because I think Tyr is a little bit of an anomaly in that sense. So Herc, 365 damage with his Driving Strike and 90% physical power scaling. Now this is super high because Herc's not really building that much damage, right? So he's got very high base stats, base damage on his abilities. And Ymir's pretty much the same, right? His 2 does 370 flat damage per hit. However, Ymir also has this cool passive. He does damage with his ult, etc. So let's call their damage kind of even. The thing is, when you put Ymir or other Guardians in non-support roles, and they become at level with other people, their base damage is still just as high as a warrior. They're often leveling abilities for their damage, whereas, a support Ymir, you might think, would be keeping his Glacial Strike relatively low level until later on. And but their base stats for their health and their defenses are very, very high. And that's because, once again, they're a class that is tuned to be slightly behind. So what's the solution? Well, right now in the game, looking at the God Builder, you've got all of these different starter items, right? We just had them. You've got Mark of the Vanguard for defense, you've got the Jungle Start, you've got the Mage starter item, you've got Watcher's Gift, which is a support starter item, and you've got physical ones too. You've got Bluestone and Death Toll. And these starter items serve as a way to take a specific god and tune it towards a specific role. Give them advantages that they need to do that, such as Bumba's Mask giving you mana and healing when you're in the jungle, increasing what you gain versus camps, giving you true damage against camps, stuff like that. It's an item that's intended to allow you to jungle better than you otherwise would. Or Watcher's Gift, which is intended to make you better support than you otherwise would be. Or Mark of the Vanguard, intended to make you tankier than you otherwise would be. But here's the thing. I think this system's fucking stupid. I think what it should be is a system much like Dawngate, which is EA's failed MOBA, where when you're in the picks and bans, when you select the Ymir, after trades, after you get your god, you choose your role. You say, oh, I'm going to be a support, and it gives you a certain package of skills that could affect your character in a much deeper way. So yeah, if you choose to be a support Ymir, you could get Watcher's Gift, which would give you bonus gold when minions die, health when they die, mana when they die, give you a little bit of flat health, give you some MP5, but it could also scale down the damage of your abilities. It could also increase your base stats, increase your health scaling per level to make the character more support-like. But then when you put him in the jungle and you give him Bumpa's Mask, well, maybe under those circumstances, yeah, he'll heal from jungle camps. Maybe he won't get the increased health, but maybe his abilities will do slightly more damage. Stuff like that. That, I think, is the solution to the Guardian meta. Right now, Guardians are tuned to be behind the support role. You put them in a role they're not behind, and now they're OP. Well, make it so that when you put them in a non-support role, they're tuned properly. When you put them in a support role, they're tuned properly. And that way, you don't have this weird problem, right? I think that is the solution to the Guardian meta. The deep solution to the Guardian meta. There are simpler solutions like just nerfing Guardians, reducing their base stats, but I don't think those are really good fixes. I think those are just band-aid fixes to a systemic problem. And those are just my thoughts on the issue, and I want to know your guys' thoughts, so let me know what you think. And I guess this is on YouTube too, so like, comment, subscribe, etc. The stream viewers, thanks for watching.